All right, welcome to the Facing the Gates podcast. I am Bailey.
I'm Michael.
And I'm David.
David is vaping right before the beginning of the episode.
So professional.
What a great guy.
Atheist.
We are starting these first episodes with interviews with one another because, you know, when you think of Christian or atheist or agnostic theist,
If you think of us at all.
if you think of what those words mean, you might have some preconceived notions of what those words mean.
Coke, Sprite, and Dr. Pepper.
So we wanted to have like basic interviews with each other in the beginning just so that you guys can get to know us and not assume we are this stereotype cliche that you think of when you think of those terms.
And we might be. You never know.
Maybe we are. You never know. You have to listen to the episode to find out. So today we're going to be interviewing Michael,
The Dr. Pepper of religion.
the Agnostic Theist, which is a term that I've never heard before I started talking to you. So can you tell me what the term Agnostic Theist means?
Okay.
And what it means to you?
It means an agnostic person who believes in a higher power.
Okay.
In the base fucking terms. Because agnostic is the acceptance of not knowing the direct answer, but knowing there's something greater than yourself. Theism is the idealism of a god of sorts.
Yeah.
So what that means to me is I believe in a higher power, higher order, higher something.
Right.
I just don't put a name towards it or follow any specific doctrine.
Right.
More so, I would say, granted, I have my biases due to my upbringing, but I have my own conceived notions about a higher power, and I can't remember the term for it, but I remember reading in 7th grade about different theologies that pertain to American history, and there was one where like we're just kind of put here and there's a higher power that has a hand, but he doesn't control every little thing.
Okay.
So that kind of branches towards me, even though I still believe there's a natural order to things. It's not all just free will. But yeah, that's what agnostic theism means to me personally. And it's the one role of the Freemasons is to have a higher power. And so a lot of them label themselves as Freemason when you look at their religion, but they're really agnostic theists.
Okay, so just for clarification, there is theism and then there's deism. And you are a theist, which would believe in a supernatural, outside of this world higher power.
Yeah.
So why would you believe in theism versus deism for you?
I guess it could just be because my preconceived biases through being raised and feeling there's got to be something greater to myself, and that's how my brain wraps around it, is a singular higher power, whether it's a higher power in the cosmos or even some people take it as far as morality as a being.
Yeah, because I think like the problem with deism, at least from my perspective as a Christian, is like it's still within the natural world, so it has a very certain limit to it.
It has a specific law and order about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on top of that, I guess it's hard for me to cope without something greater than myself. So that's why I kind of lean more that way, because there's just some shit I can't explain.
Right. Okay.
So, about being an agnostic theist, what do you think are some generalizations? Like, for example, I called you the Dr. Pepper religions, or as some people like to say, a diet atheist. Kind of, if you can think of what do you think are some like generalizations? Because I know in a lot of kind of people's mind, it's grouped like an atheist.
But
Specifically, like, what are generalizations, and then what are things that like you don't think fit you as a person, I guess?
Honestly, I'd hate to say it, I don't really know too many generalizations, because I know a lot of agnostics who are on the fence of atheism or theism. I know Christians, atheists, Islams, Jewish people. I even know Hindus, but it's very few people until I start explaining my viewpoint that would be like, hey, this is what I am. Because a lot of us don't know. We don't really have a word to put it. So I really don't know too many things, but what I would say is a lot of us are maybe a little confused, maybe still finding our own way. Because I wouldn't say agnostic theism is an endpoint for me.
Right. You're like on a path of discovery,
You're
but
on
you
a
don't
journey.
know. You don't know where that
Of
endpoint
sorts.
is.
But this could still be because if I don't find something that's true to me, this could be my endpoint.
Right.
Now, in that kind of aspect, do you think, like, say, if you figure out you're an atheist, figure out you're Christian, figure out whatever, do you think that would be the end point, or is it possibly a never-ending quest?
Little A, little B there. Because honestly,
That's a good question.
Which one would you possibly find more content with?
there's not really a doctrine currently that I'm find content with truly, if you want me to be 100% honest. Because I believe in a higher power.
Because you would be one of those things if you did.
Yeah. And I've looked through a lot of Christian doctrines. Even there's not too many sects of Judaism that I've.
But you also can't
there's
become a Jew, so.
That's an interesting topic.
I could be an agnostic Jew.
True, yeah.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I guess maybe if there's some new age religion, or I find God in my 50s or some shit, or I go to prison and get indoctrinated like half of those people do, then maybe I could find what I would consider my true calling. But I feel spirituality as a whole is very singular. It's very individual. So I don't buy into a lot of the community doctrines. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily buy into everything their church says.
Right.
Or their atheist church says. Ring.
I mean,
But-
I guess I can agree with that, because it's very much about your personal journey.
And I feel
and personal
me
understanding.
being an agnostic theist speaks more so to me getting in tune of my own spiritual beliefs.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure if I could ever buy into a specific doctrine.
Right. Jeez, what a bunch of agreeable people we are. Well, we all just make our viewpoints sound so good.
Well, we're all a little confused and a little scared in this world.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
That's
but
fair.
we're all accepting of the end result.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing that we're doing these episodes, because it shows like we're not like hardened, like 100% certain.
Yeah, you've never
and-
been preachy to me. I don't try to be preachy to you.
Yeah,
I
it's a
mean, that filthy
conversation.
fucking atheist over
yeah.
there's never been.
We just have these late night long discussions.
I remember when we talked at like 5 a.m. one morning.
I remember
Yeah,
that one time
and I
when
fell
we-
asleep and I didn't pick him up from work.
I remember like when we went to a show and you and I just started on a religion tangent.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because the
That
other
was
person's
always-
like, so how's being an atheist? And it's
Yeah.
like, oh boy, let me tell you.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, like,
we always have
that was
interesting
really
conversations.
these kind of conversations are like getting off topic, but like those are kind of like the beta of this show, because we always kind of talk about this anyway.
because-
So might as well, record it and put it out
I mean,
there.
I guess the key thing about these conversations is just acceptance.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and see, to me, that's the beauty of me being who I am, and what my viewpoint is because I can sit in between two totally different people and be the bridge between. Like, hey, this is, I'm not far from you, and I'm not far from you. I'm literally dead in the fucking middle. I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah. So, tell me about your how was growing up for you? Were you religious? Were you? I know you and David obviously are twins.
Yeah, but
so
we had.
what was your life story like growing up, and how has your story kind of evolved in your understanding of things?
I always believed in a higher power, per se. And, I would do the normal things little kids do to seek help. I would pray, go to church. I would never talk to anybody because that's not the person I am. And I would never
Talk to anybody like
outwardly,
about-
like, hey, shit's fucked up. Or, hey, I'm
Okay.
confused. I would never go to like a preacher or anyone
Oh, okay,
because I
gotcha.
always felt it was very personal to me.
right.
And it was, and then, growing up, you go, okay, maybe I am an atheist. Maybe this all is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I feel everyone has at least that point where they wonder,
Is this really true?
is this, I mean, God, why have you forsaken me? Comes to mind. That's and I also remember growing up,
What are you talking about? Like when Jesus was on the cross?
Kind of
saying,
time,
Father, why have you forsaken
Father,
me?"
why have you forsaken me? I think we all have
Yeah.
those moments, and I've had a lot of those moments wondering, is religion real? Is there really a higher power? Is any of this fucking matter at the end of the day? And I've always came to the end point of,
I think everyone does, to be fair. I mean, about any viewpoint, if you're being honest and you're thinking about it,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
probably going to question, like, is this really
And
what it is?
But then there's been times where it's like, I shouldn't make it out of this. But I make it out of this, and I always think there might be something higher who has some sort of plan. And so I really fall between like a hands-off approach and a hands-on approach of religion.
Yeah.
And so I grew up in the same churches, Methodist, Baptist, I can't remember the other one. And I've always had friends of different religions, or formerly of different religions. I've always talked to them. It's always been interesting to me to kind of meet them and understand their viewpoints.
Yeah.
And maybe there's something in Islam that I find very touching, very honest to me. And there's stuff about Christianity I find touching and honest. But it's also the evils of the doctrines, which you get any group of people together, the bad apples are going to shine.
So I
Yeah.
guess to simplify it, as like I said in kind of the podcast about me, kind of as Kant said, learn from your adversaries. They always have a little bit of truth.
I wouldn't even call them adversaries is the bad part.
Well, not adversaries in like a
learn
negative
from
sense,
peop-
but
Yeah.
the adverse of your beliefs.
Learn
Yeah,
from people
learn-
who are different from you.
Learn
yeah.
from everyone.
Yeah.
Even people who are similar have different viewpoints.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy, like, that's why I enjoy having conversations with you guys, is because, like, it's a fresh, different understanding.
And
that,
we're
like,
also not going to choke each other out over
I mean,
it.
exactly. Yeah.
We
I've
aren't going
been
to have
watch-
a crusade over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
We're
been
not gonna like skewer each other and cook you alive and eat you.
I mean, to touch on that real
That
quick,
would be
I've been
me.
watching a lot of.
That
It-
actually happened, by the way. Christians did that to Muslims. So, by the way,
I mean,
There's
let it
been
be
a
known.
bunch of fucked up shit that happened
Yeah.
between Christians
I
and
got to
Muslims.
tell you about the
Or Islamic,
certain
depending
weapon.
on how you want to term it.
Later on, I got to tell you about a certain weapon that I think Eli Whitney helped with at the time.
Yeah, that was a bullshit weapon. But back to the topic.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there
Sorry.
anything else you guys want me to touch on that topic?
I guess just like how has anything changed? I guess basically what you're saying is like you always kind of believed in some sort of higher power,
Yeah.
but I guess because like I mean you grew up in Christian homes, so I guess is it just like is it just that like the doubt that you were faced with that led you to agnosticism, or is it what exactly happened that
Was
led
there
you?
any major pinnacle?
Yeah, what
of,
led you to
like-
being where you are now?
Well, one of
basically?
them would be going to that. When I was in 7th grade, I had an emo girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her family took me to this church that blended Native American culture and words and songs into Christianity. And they had a fish fry, and that fish was banging. But that really showed me how different we all can perceive religion.
Yeah.
And like
Were they like a Christian church, or is it just like a dude?
they believe Christian ideals and Christianity, but they also tied in old world Native American spiritual stuff, and like they had someone, I believe, cremated and sprinkled their ashes on a rock, and the ashes still stood after a week of rain. To me, that says something. To me, that's beautiful. Whether or not
Yeah.
it's true or not, I can't prove. But
So there was something going on, and it was basically outside of your experience of what Christianity is that
Yeah.
opened your eyes.
and
to
then
that.
when they all joined in song and banged on the drums and spread the pipe tobacco on there, it felt like a moment. Like we were all more than just Christians. We were all more than just people of different heritage. We were all one in that moment.
So you could
What-
say something that led you to kind of your conviction of being an agnostic theist.
Yeah, and plus, I've always
Also, forgive me, I pronounce my THs and Ds. So,
yeah, David has a speech impediment, so don't
Yeah.
make fun of him.
yeah.
Unless you're us, we can make fun of him.
Yeah.
Don't do it if
Yeah.
you're someone else, though.
And plus, during the darkest times of my life, I still remember feeling like spiritual things, like watching family members pass and just knowing they were already dead because it felt like their spirit had left them.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I've always, growing up in the South, you know how churches are with certain subjects like being gay, suicide. And I would hear one thing from one preacher and a total different thing from another.
Yeah.
And that right there led me into believing religion should be more than religion. It should be about spirituality and the inner self and finding peace with yourself in whatever your higher power, if there is one.
Yeah.
So I would say that going to that church was probably a strong moment. Watching family members die in front of you is a strong moment. And just all the adversaries and everything negative or positive happening in my life, things I shouldn't have made it out of or things I shouldn't have got myself into.
Yeah. Well, that's deep, dude. That's some deep shit. I appreciate you being really honest. So let's rip ourselves out of this deep real talk and into something more. I mean, it's still real talk, but what is something that you object to about religious beliefs specifically? And you might have already touched on this, but
the political dogmatic approach. No one should try to recruit for a religion. Whether you're
so would you say like evangelizing someone for a religion, or would you say like religion being synonymous with a certain political ideology?
I would.
Where was, because I feel like,
you know how they always say we need to bring more people into our faith.
Yeah.
To me, just the way they go about that feels so wrong.
Okay.
Because
so you have
that church is going to be there.
Yeah.
That atheist is going to be there.
Yeah.
You're not. You can teach me. Teach me, don't show me.
What?
Because if you show me and you say all these things and you do nothing but rack down Bible verses, it means nothing to me.
So you have an issue with people like preaching at you and trying to convert you in like an outright sense, as opposed to, say, getting to know you and conversating with you and meeting you where you are, kind of thing.
And don't tell me I'm wrong. Because
I would agree with you on that, to be honest. I think there's a lot of quote-unquote evangelizing techniques, like street evangelizing and going up to people, and when you're in the line at the grocery store, like leaving little booklets and stuff like that.
Let me buy my fucking groceries in peace, and don't give me a fucking bullshit $20 bill for a tip.
I don't think that's gonna move the needle for anyone. If anything, you have to like be willing to get to know them and not just trying to get them to sign their soul on the dot.
I think if anything, it strays people away from that, because they see that
it's disingenuous.
It's not necessarily human. It's more like cult tactics.
Yeah. And to me, most religions come off very culty. And I'm not saying religious people do. I'm saying religions.
I can understand it.
And a lot of churches, especially in the South, are very closed-minded.
Yeah.
And that's always drawn me off. Because you tell me, I want to use Christianity as an example. Okay. Jesus walked with the hookers, the sick, the needy.
Mm-hmm.
He was the people's person. He was people's champion.
Yeah.
But yet, one person's gay in here and you're going to make a fucking example out of them. There's a black kid in an all-white church. You're going to make a fucking example out of him. Lead by example.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
If you're going to... When I talk about my religion, I talk about openness.
Right.
And just, being honest with yourself and with everybody. If you have a bias against somebody, be honest about it.
Yeah. I think there's like, you should be accepting, at least if we're talking about Christianity, of course being accepting because that's what Christ did, but also there's a limit to that. There's a threshold. You have to, you can't just say, you have to be able to say when things are wrong.
You have to accept them into your church. You don't have to accept their actions.
Exactly. Yeah. I would agree with that.
Now, one thing about kind of the general idea you're speaking, how do you feel about like the cultural indoctrination of like religion? Like, we're in the South. Christianity is part of the culture.
Okay, like raising your child like a certain religion, for example.
I don't want to ruffle any feathers here, but I think indoctrinating children into anything is fucking awful.
Yeah.
And that's for atheism, Christianity, Republican, Democrat. you can use that as a baseline to raise them and show them proper ways of doing things. But when they reach a certain age where they think for themselves, let them be free thinkers. Because in church, we were talking about how we have free will, right?
That gives away what kind of church we went to. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Well, I already said what type of church we went to.
We went to a Baptist church.
But,
Southern Baptist.
Yeah, Southern Baptist.
Fire and brimstone, baby.
Yeah, yep.
but even in Catholic or different churches, besides that free will, if someone's growing, doesn't everything have a reason? God has an ultimate plan, does he not?
Yeah.
If that person's
a
meant,
trick question.
if that person's meant to grow out of that religion, you can't fight that. That's going to happen. You fighting that's going to make it more likely to never come back. If that makes any sense right now.
Yes and no.
Because
we're gonna get into this in the free will episode, but
and I think we could also
just because God has a plan doesn't mean that will happen necessarily because we have free will.
Yeah.
So again, we'll get into that.
Broader idea. We could go back over to cultural kind of ideologies and indoctrination of
and I'm not
religions,
saying don't
and
raise
even
your kids
atheism, because
in a religious environment. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying indoctrinating them. You could raise them with the influence.
What happens when your kid asks you, "Does God exist?" What happens when we die? Where do babies come from? I don't know if that last one was related.
You give
you know what I mean.
You give them your honest viewpoint, and you tell them this is how I think. Mm-hmm. But you allow them to learn about other cultures and how other people think. Because I know in school, a lot of people's parents were upset when we were learning about Hinduism or reading a book that has atheist terms in it.
Well, when you're really young, it's very formative for you.
Yeah.
So if you have, there's I think don't know. I think there's a problem with trying to be too open-minded when you're too young, because children aren't built to be understanding of that.
I disagree.
I think when you get to a certain point, you can understand.
I disagree.
More. I mean, like, if you're trying to found, like, children aren't built to, like, weigh their options and beliefs and ideals and what makes sense to them. They're children.
But I guess for great compromise is just kind of not really going heavy into religion, but, like, teaching good morals. And make, like, as they get older, explain to them, like, yeah, here's, like, my belief. Like, kind of making, like, a teaching curriculum as they age, and then letting them ultimately get the final choice in their beliefs.
And don't stray away from letting your child learn about other cultures and other religions. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
If you're strong enough in your faith, just like I'm strong enough in my sexuality to be like, hey Bailey, you are a fucking handsome dude. There's nothing wrong with that.
He is, guys. He is.
Stop it.
But that's just an example. But don't come at your kid with the gay people are going to hell, and it's just the same.
Don't be Westboro Baptist.
Don't be negative, essentially.
It is because when kids are born, they are blank slate. They have no biases against race, creed, religion, or anything.
Yeah.
We, as adults,
teach them,
put that in them.
Yeah.
And so, I get
what you're saying.
There are good things that came from my raising around churches, and there are fucking awful biases that I've had to grow past and realize are bullshit.
Yeah. And we've said, I mean, we've known people from that are Christian and even atheists are just indoctrinating their kids heavily.
Yeah.
But on kind of the other side of the spectrum, what kind of do you object about my beliefs, filthy atheism and whatnot?
The things I would object about atheism is I personally feel there's a higher power. But yet that's a personal thing to me. I preach personal spirituality. If that's what you truly believe, good for you, dude.
Well, I guess, like, in one way, like, you can put that in kind of like my ideals of atheism versus, like, the anti-deist. Kind of any objections on either of those parts, since, you know, atheism is as broad as religion itself.
And this would go with any religion. Don't come at me like I'm wrong. Come at me with an open ear and an understanding of who I am, and expect the same from me. Mm-hmm. And that would be my biggest thing, but the preconceived notion of atheists is there is no God, nothing happens when you die. That's cool for you. That's what you truly believe, great. But when you come at me and you shove that down my throat, you're no better than the fucking Baptist church going, if you don't believe this, you're going to hell.
So essentially, David's commandment number 1: don't be a dick.
I think that's everybody's commandment.
I think that's just the
decent
golden, that's the
person,
golden rule, dude.
yeah. Do unto others as you would do unto yourself.
Okay.
All right.
What about anything about like kind of the more like calmer side of atheism, like
Yeah, like
the,
David.
like the mild atheism?
Yeah. Go ahead and attack your
Not
brother
the
here.
Mike's
Let's
harder
go ahead.
anti-deism, but like the Mike's mild
Let's go ahead
atheism.
and put some domestic tension here. What do you dislike about David's calm, basic atheism?
I mean, I try not to dislike any religion.
Oh, jeez, you're too nice. Come on.
But
Let's start a fight. Come on, get with it. We're talking about religion on a podcast.
I'm sorry, but just like I want to come at you for your beliefs without
That's
having
fine,
an
that's
honest discussion.
Right. I get it.
As long as you don't come at me, I'm not going to come at you. If you come with the air of understanding and acceptance, I'll put that olive branch and that feather out and do the same thing for you.
yeah,
Because that's what I expect.
and I mean,
Respect.
you and I both have that kind of agreement, even though, like, as I called you the Dr. Pepper of religion, but I do that in good old fun and a South
In
Park
jest.
reference.
And because sometimes I'll be, God, why? Or fuck, we're all going to hell. I'll say shit like that, whether I believe it or not, because that's my preconceived biases that I
Kind
was
of
raised with.
Possibly more emotional and like
Yeah, oh, definitely.
culturally
Whereas-
inclined.
And I mean, it's just all. I don't want to have. The only time I have an issue with a religion is when you attack people who can't defend themselves. Like, if you go killing kids or sacrificing animals, that's where I draw the fucking line. You go fuck right off.
Fair point.
Or you go marrying underage women or men. You go right the fucking hell. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Fair
But
point.
if you come at me peacefully with an air of understanding and you're not a fucking asshole or a rapist or a racist,
Yeah.
we're good, man. We're good. We can talk about anything.
Right. All right. So I have a little hypothetical for you. Imagine you are in an ocean with 2 islands equidistant from you, and one of them is Atheist Island, which would require you to commit to an atheist worldview.
Hello.
The other one is Christian Island, which would require you to commit to a Christian worldview. So if you were forced to choose, which island would you be more likely to swim to and why?
And you cannot. You
And
have to go
you
to
can't
one.
give a Dr. Pepper Island example.
You can't just go.
You can't just be like,
swimming
I'll
across-
drown.
Yeah.
You got to swim to one. Which one and why?
Oh, that's a really good but hard question because
No,
Do you-
I'm so in the fucking middle.
Do you
know.
accept nothingness or do you accept?
Somethingness.
Yeah.
Is that what we call it?
I don't know.
I can't accept the nothingness for the simple fact is that's not me. I don't believe there's nothing I believe there's something at the end of the tunnel. Whether or not it's good or bad, I don't know. But I can't believe in a specified doctrine.
But in an ultimatum,
But yeah, this is the ultimatum. You're gonna look. You're
So
gonna die
I-
eventually anyway. You
I'm at
gotta
the
you
per-
gotta make a choice.
I'm at the maybe pearly gates of a higher power, and it's like, all right, bitch, you gotta choose.
all or nothing.
Flip the coin, let's see what happens.
yeah.
Oh, shit. Well,
Basically, that's the exact example, pretty much.
as much as I can't buy into most of Christianity, I can buy into the higher power and a higher self of essence. So I guess I would lean more so on that side due to my raising. But if you put me in between like an Islamic island and a Christian island or Jewish island or any other religion in a Christian island, I would probably be just dead fucking in the middle. But that's my biggest distance from atheism is I do believe in a higher power,
Yeah.
which I can relate that to any religion. Because that is religion.
belief in something
Belief in
higher
something.
than yourself.
Yeah, you believe in something as opposed to nothing.
Yeah.
And that's not saying I might not end up on the atheist island, but I would more than likely have to fucking tuck my tail and swim, bitch, swim.
I don't know. I might just shoot a harpoon.
Wow.
God, what an asshole!
David's over there on Atheist Island like, I knew he would do it.
I'm the only one here.
Everyone knew I would do it, but that's only because I have to choose. Because I'm not gonna be that asshole. It's like, oh no, man, I can't choose. Because that's not the
Well,
fucking
we're forcing you
question.
not to choose. I mean, there's
I'm sorry.
if there's a
Keep bumping the
Christian
mic.
island and an atheist island or a religion island, there's an agnostic theist island. There might be
No,
five.
no. That's just the ocean. You're just gonna drown.
No, he's just swimming paddling his boat. He's gonna catch some fish.
All right. Well, I'll let you ask the special question.
But I mean, you have quite a few piercings and some jewelry. Tell me about that satanic devil worshiper necklace.
Yeah, tell me about a devil
You mean the necklace I've had lost for like 3 months
Satan
now?
Necklace.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not even there.
Yeah, he lost them all back, but
He's got okay, for people who, obviously this is a podcast, you can't see us.
he has an upside down cross necklace.
Yes.
Would you like to explain yourself, you devil worshiper?
Yeah, explain yourself, you Satanist.
Even though I'm not religious, I do like misconstrued and misunderstood symbolism.
Uh-huh.
And
That's pretty edgy, dude.
And that one's always been a strong one to me because I went to one of my closest friends' house, even though he's older than me and his husband's older than me.
Yeah.
But they've always made me feel welcome. Mm-hmm. And his husband never questioned the cross because it's a Catholic symbol.
Right.
And it's a symbol of humility. And once I understood that, it helps if I'm ever in delusions of grandeur or in a higher for those of you that don't know what that means, that's the term used for a mental disorder or for Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, where your viewpoint of yourself is much higher than you're capable of being. And it's something in manic stages that I can use to tie myself back down like I am Michael. I'm no better than my next man.
So it's essentially something to ground yourself.
Yeah. And,
Keep yourself level-headed.
And
So,
I use it as a learning tool too.
yeah.
Because I love when people expand their horizons with anything. So when I wear that cross, I used to wear it underneath my main cross, so that would really confuse people. Because I had a standard Christian cross with a little diamond in the center and all that bullshit.
Yours was more flashy, but I also had one.
Yeah. And
I didn't wear mine for kind of obvious reasons, but I still, since a relative gave it to us and it was a present and they meant it genuinely, I still kept it.
I still have mine.
Beautiful.
But I wore those as kind of the yin and yang, like the higher, godlier versus this is where I'm at.
The more in tune, natural.
Yeah. And I guess understanding of that keeps me a lot more grounded than I was.
Yeah.
Plus, it allows me to connect to more people when I go, hey, this is what this means to me. No matter what your preconceived notion of what you've been taught by Protestant beliefs.
Right.
This is the original meaning of this cross, and this is what it means to me.
Yeah, because
no matter what, everything is about perception and understanding.
Yeah.
So, someone I know's parents were like, why is he... They didn't even ask about your satanic cross.
Yeah.
They said something about mine, and to me, that was like, oh, this is a great learning moment. I wasn't mad. I was a little confused.
I was actually about to bring that up.
But...
okay, so I think the common view is... Like you see in like horror movies when somebody's possessed or whatever, there's crosses on the walls and they flip upside down because of their demonically
the pop
possessed.
culture symbolism and also the kind of punk symbolism of it.
Well, yeah, that's the pop culture symbolism.
It was to be edgy. It was because people see it upside down. They think the opposite of the meaning of the original cross.
And like in Doom, you know, there's an upside down cross in hell and whatever.
Yeah.
Like so explain to me, because you've explained it more to me. What exactly does the upside down cross mean?
God, I can't remember the saint's name, but
Peter.
St. Peter.
it is St. Peter's cross.
You're welcome. I don't know why I remember that.
We both remember that. That was beautiful.
It was on my fucking tongue, but you know how bad my memory is.
It's okay.
But essentially, he was getting fucking murdered, for lack of better terms.
He was martyred.
And he felt he wasn't. I'm going to butcher this, but he wasn't holy enough to be killed like his savior.
Yeah.
And so he wanted them to kill him upside down, which is just as fucking excruciating, if not more.
Probably more.
It's pretty
But
certain it's worse.
To me, that humility of going, this person's higher than me. This person deserves the respect, and I don't want to take away from that by being crucified and made a martyr like they are.
Right.
And I mean, that strikes home with me because that's a form of self-sacrifice.
Yeah. So I guess like how much of it is like this might be
How much is edgelord versus how much is like grounding?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. How much of it is because you want to be an edgy dude wearing an upside down cross, and how much of it is because you agree with the St. Peter's message?
Well, for me, the aesthetic of that, for everyone who doesn't know, it is a black upside down cross. The aesthetic of that is very simple. It's why I used to wear the more ornate regular cross and then the plain Jane flip cross.
Uh-huh.
The aesthetic is obvious. I enjoy the aesthetic, but it meant more to me before I put it on than aesthetic ever meant to me. That's why I'm still talking about it, even though I haven't found it in 3 months.
It's probably because it's evil. God doesn't want you to find it.
Well, when it's tattooed in the
took it to hell.
When it's tattooed in the middle of my chest, it'll be damn sure evil. But
Okay.
honestly, the symbolism means way more to me than aesthetic does, because I wear satanic imagery, I wear Christian imagery. My shirt says "Fight your own
So your
demons."
Facebook relationship it's complicated.
No.
It's religion.
Religion, it's agnostic theist, sir. But the symbolism means way more to me, if you want me to be 100% honest.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Well, I know the answer to this question because we've talked about this before. But for people at home, do you believe in the supernatural or the spiritual world? And if so, how would you describe what that belief looks like? And this includes like the paranormal or the afterlife or whatever you want to include in the supernatural.
Yes, and this also ties into, I have no idea what's going on with the higher power. I don't know what heaven or hell or if there's any of that shit. Or if we're all just stuck here on Earth for the rest of our lives as fucking ghosts. But I have personally watched family members die before they actually died, and it felt like their energy was gone. Like, you can look at someone and know they're dead.
Like you had a sixth sense that they were not there.
Yeah. When a family member came back from rehab facility, it was like, I had already made my peace looking at him laying in his bed like he's gone. There's no coming back from this one.
I mean, even like a few weeks, he came back and the next day he was gone. I mean, you could.
No, it was about a week.
Well, it was the day they were going to put him on hospice. He was gone.
Yeah.
And I mean,
but when he came back,
you and I came to that conclusion because, I mean, even though, like, I don't necessarily believe paranormal or religious, you can kind of tell when someone's just done.
Yeah. And plus, I was sitting in my room. My brother was living with our grandmother at this time. And I go walk outside my house to smoke a cigarette. Now, granted, I was way underage, but a lot of shit had been building up. A lot of stress. Very emotional time, very turmoil. A lot of turmoil. And I go to walk out that door, and I see this woman leave that door. That look just like my other sibling. I go to my mom's room. I'm like, hey, yo, where did so-and-so go? And so-and-so was sitting right in front of me. And my mom then said, hey, we need to go see your family member. Family member's going to fucking die. And it was like, oh, shit. Or this family member had a lot of health complications before this event. and each time it was always led by one weird little thing. I would wake up with my phone on the ground for no reason, or my iPod Touch because I didn't have a phone all the time because I was poor. But it would always be laying face down on my floor in front of my bed.
That's weird.
Extremely weird.
Yeah.
Or the feeling of a presence in the condo we lived in. Well, condo my grandparents lived in when we were little. And it's like, after that family member died, that presence was gone because it felt like the presence that was there finally said, okay, I have who I was waiting for. I can leave this plane and be okay. Or when, God, there's so many times that I could just tie into this. I could go on for hours, but I know I'm not going to because there's going to be more of this. But yeah, I believe in supernatural. I believe in higher spiritual planes. I believe there's something greater than all this. What it is, I don't know, but I do believe because I've experienced it firsthand.
So you believe in ghosts?
I don't necessarily call them ghosts.
Well, I mean, what the label you give them
for the
is,
commoner ghost.
Yeah. You
Or
believe in the
spirits
paranormal
or whatever you fucking want to
the
call it.
paranormal, and you believe in the supernatural. So you believe in both, basically. You just don't understand what exactly those things are.
Or how they tie into everything.
That's fair. I mean, I believe in the supernatural. I don't know how the paranormal fits into my religious worldview.
But when I die, I want the fucking answers.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I feel like a student trying to learn everything, but getting more questions than he does answers.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, going on the kind of death train as we've kind of gone on. Kind of what do you think when you bite the big bullet, when it's all over, when it's all said and done?
When you die, what's gonna happen?
That's the terrifying part. I don't know.
Oh boy.
Well, kind of
Oh, next question.
give some explanations of some possible ideas if you can.
Yeah.
Since I was raised Christian, my biggest idea is, what if I'm wrong? What if Christianity was the true light? And I can't believe in a unforgiving higher power. Because I believe there's something greater than me, and I feel I talk to it and spiritually I'm connected to it. So if my heart's in the right place and I'm being honest with myself, because the biggest thing to me is lying. I think that's the biggest sin of them all, lying. Because that's the one that adds to all the others. If I lie to a higher power and say, oh yeah, I'm a Christian, doesn't that make me just as bad as the filthy fucking atheist?
I guess in some ways, yeah.
Except I'm being honest when I say I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, kind of for you, if you said like, yeah, I'm a filthy atheist, or yeah, I'm a Christian or whatever religion, yeah, I guess you'll just be a liar, and that's one of the ultimate sins.
And
Also, you can't lie to God if God knows everything.
Yeah, he kind of has
so
it all
what's the
figured
point
out.
of not being honest with myself?
Right.
And with my
I
higher
respect
power?
that.
And my thing is, if I die and I do go to the Christian heaven or fucking Valhalla or whatever, and I go to the higher power and I go, look, I was just being honest. Do you want me to lie? I was wrong. Can I be forgiven?
Well, what about?
I'll have to accept whatever judgment happens there because I'm not going to fucking lie and get a worse judgment. So I'll take whatever I get, however I get it.
No. What about?
I mean, if I end up in purgatory, that sucks.
Yeah.
If I end up in hell, that sucks. But I'm going to end up there anyway, if not. So I have to take that chance of being...
You'd rather be honest than to lie.
than not.
To lie to fit a stigma.
You know, what about the opposite end of the spectrum? You know, my side. What happened if there's nothing?
Well, then I guess nothing happens.
I mean, what?
I mean, that's equally terrifying to me because I don't know.
Yeah.
I accept death.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not scared of death. I've been close to it several times. I'm scared of growing old and dying, yes, but I'm not scared of death. I'm scared of what happens after, like we all are. There's always that little bit of
Uncertainty.
primitive fear in us
Yeah.
that when we close our eyes for that last time, what happens?
Yeah.
And I guess it doesn't help when we all try to find ways to cope with it. Some of us turn to religion, some turn to drugs, Some turn to music. Some turn to just escapism.
Yeah.
Because those are the questions we are faced with when we're all alone.
Now, on the end of like the atheist side of there, well, if there's nothing, kind
Well,
of
fuck, there's nothing. Shit.
Well, not necessarily that, but kind of as we went through when y'all were asking me questions, the kind of idea of like, what do you think would make your life, like, fulfill your life, and kind of things that even if there happens to be nothing, what kind of would make you satisfied and think I lived a whole life?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that actually. Basically, what gives you meaning in life? What are your goals in life? You know,
At this point in my
in an
life,
existential sense, and also like in a limited this life kind of sense. You know,
it's hard for me to 100% answer that due to everything that goes on mental health wise.
right?
Because it constantly changes, whether I'm in manic or depressive. But just don't sell myself short. Be the best me I can be. Try to love as honestly as I can and be as honest with everybody around me that cares about me. And don't stop fighting till the fucking fight's over. So there's no like white picket fence bullshit in there, because I don't know if I want that. I don't want kids. I don't know if I want to get married. I don't know any of that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I know what I want now, but that can change. So right now, if I had died, are there things I would have wanted to get done? Of course, there always is.
Everyone would probably answer yes, hopefully.
But would
yeah.
Or at least at this age, yeah, hopefully. I mean,
would I be upset? No, because I've done everything I can do. And that's always in relationships and in life, in work. I've always said, look, I might fuck up. I might do it totally fucking wrong, but I'm going to do everything I can do. And so if I died today, I'd be pretty satisfied.
You would just kind of, if you had that moment of clarity before you die, you think, okay,
Yeah.
it was pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's writings I'd like
Yeah.
to finish.
I mean, there's always regrets with life,
Yeah.
but in the grand scheme of things, you'd be accepting of your accomplishments, and
I've had to
You're-
make peace with death since young, so yeah, I'd be. After you have one toll with the Grim Reaper and you punch him in the dick and run away, you kind of start making peace with everything right then and there when you look death in the eye, whether that's with a family member dying or with your own experiences or both. You have to learn to live for yourself and make peace with what you can do.
yeah, I agree with a lot of that. I wish more people would be cognizant of the fact that they're going to die one day, and they would be a little bit more
And
accepting and
Growing
not-
up, and still, that's my biggest fear is death.
yeah, and I
That's
guess
all our biggest fear. We can't bullshit about it.
right.
Even when people get older and they say, I'm ready for the afterlife, you are, but you're still worried or afraid. There's still
There's part
some
of you that's
fear.
unprepared.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but also
Because
like
we're
with-
eternal in our own mindset.
with, like our family member. I mean, he was at death's door, so it was kind of, you have to accept it at that point and just
Yeah, but there's still always that
Yeah.
little bit in your head, like, what
of
happens?
that what if. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess in some ways I have that same agreement, but also the body knows when it's time, I guess, for a lot of people, and you just resign yourself to like, yeah, it's going to happen, but nothing else I can do. But keeping on my filthy atheist mind, what would be something that would 100% convince you that I'm right, that there's nothing and there's no God, no afterlife,
Honestly-
the Big Bopper, all that?
Honestly, I don't think right now there's anything that could.
Any hypotheticals, say like 10 years from now or 15 years from now, anything that could
If you
convince you,
found out
you're-
it was all an illusion or something, I don't know.
like we're in a computer simulation. It could
If
be.
I woke up and I was like 4 years old, I have no fucking idea.
I think that would make me believe stronger.
what
Honestly,
if you're a butterfly dreaming you're a human? You know, that's a classic trope.
I'd call my butterfly drug dealer and ask him what good shit he gave me.
I mean, if something, to
But
be honest, if something like that happened to me, as we
that would make me
speaking-
search religion. Like, dude, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah,
That's fair. Yeah.
But
I
I
mean-
honestly don't think there's anything that could lead me not to believe there's something greater than
I mean,
myself.
I guess those hypotheticals reveal more about me.
Yeah, because honestly, in certain mental states, you can feel as if you are the highest fucking power, and then you hit that lowest of fucking lows, and you come back down to earth, and you're like, "There's something bigger than me,"
Yeah.
and I can't believe I'm the biggest thing in the world because I'm not.
Yeah.
Because there's always someone stronger, always someone smarter, always someone faster. But they have a weakness too. We all do. And there's something out there that doesn't have those weaknesses.
It's that Achilles heel.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess kind of to flip David's question,
Yeehaw.
for me, you know, what is there anything that could convince you specifically that Christianity were true and that is the true worldview that you should adopt?
It's one of those.
Because I mean, I know you have your doubts, you know,
Yeah,
but like, what is there anything that you could experience or information that you could uncover that would make you think that, okay, this is more than likely the case compared to
If there was
other worldviews?
if we ever create time travel and they pick my dumb ass to go back in time,
I mean, that.
and I'm able to sit with a prophet and talk about these things, or if I'm able to sit with any religious councilman of sorts, the earthly leader of a religion, the earthly higher power of sorts, you know, kind of like the middleman, like God's talking to them to talk to me,
Like
to
a
prove that,
like a prophet.
yeah, like a prophet.
Okay.
If I had one of those moments where it's like, you know everything I'm trying to say and you know how to word it so it resonates with me and so I understand it, then yeah, there's a possibility. Or if I had, let's say I get shot tomorrow. I'm just walking down the street, I'm driving in my car.
Right.
Someone pulls up and just dumps 12 in me. And I die. And I experience something greater than myself. And it finally has a name and it has a purpose and it has a reason. And I'm able to sit there with that angel or God or whatever and talk to it and get the answers. Then, yeah, I would probably fucking start going to whatever church that is immediately, because
Isn't that a cheat code though? If you have a near death experience,
I
I
would
a cheat code.
I want to say it's a cheat code.
Yeah, I mean, because
most
like
people don't have near death experiences where they're like, okay, well, I met God and he told me that
Well,
Christianity.
I've had a lot of near-death experiences, and I've yet to have that. So.
And I mean, I guess not necessarily, because it's kind of like a God playing a little bit of a God playing a heavier hand, because if it's something to convince someone that,
As a preacher said,
is
God talks to everyone in
confused about
different
the
ways.
path.
So if if the
Like
higher
that
power
book.
reached down, I'm sorry if I speak and say God, it's just my background, but if the higher power reached down and came out and said something to someone close to me or me personally, and it resonated with me to that point where I was like, okay, this is for more than just a good conversation. This is more than just understanding. This is the fucking truth. Then yeah, I feel if something like that happened and I believe truly that was what I believe and what's really going to happen, then yeah, I would have to believe in it, because that's my whole thing. It's honestly with myself and my spirituality.
Yeah. So
But that's a great hypothetical, guys.
Yeah, cool. So I mean, like, I think one thing I can agree with you on, or that I guess I appreciate about agnosticism, is that like it doesn't commit you to like fit the mold of any particular worldview. You're not like set in stone about your beliefs, or you don't have to be on my side or David's side. You're kind of open to it. It's a safe and malleable place, and like this is not the destination. You're kind of on a journey to kind of figure it out.
I am. You know how in elementary school, when you were a kid and you got clay, and you got to model it the way you do, and the way you felt. That's how I feel my spirituality is. I'm taking my experiences and molding it into my fucking art,
Right.
into my truth. It's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah.
So-
And the way you word things sometimes, like my truth, my understanding, what it means to me.
it's a
I
very
agree with you.
personal journey.
Yeah. I agree with you about it being personal. But then there comes the an episode topic that will be coming out pretty soon on
Dun, dun, dun.
morality being objective or subjective, and I think well, I'm not going to reveal where we all stand on that, but that'll be an interesting episode to get into. Just hearing the way you speak about certain things.
But I mean,
So-
I guess to put it in short, right now for you, it's more about the journey than the destination. I forget who said that, but
I think somebody that was. I don't even know if that's like someone specific that said that.
I
feel
think
like
a lot
of people have said that. But I guess for you, it really rings true.
Yeah.
Because
'Cause I'm
you,
ever
as you say,
evolving.
you don't know, but you're just here along for the ride.
I'm
And I
like,
guess for me,
that's a respectable.
I
way.
guess you and I kind of share that same thing because, like, for me, I mean, I know the destination, but I also, the journey is fascinating.
it is. And see, that's,
And I guess, Bailey, you can have the same fun time with the journey, but you also know the destination is a little bit higher than, kind of say, like, for me.
yeah.
And for Michael, y'all could have the same destination, but his journey is going to be a lot more confusing and winding.
And that's why I respect you as
Possibly.
a Christian, Bailey. It's because you accept that you're learning new things and you're forming your viewpoints about your religion. Because you
Yeah.
feel it's honest to you and it's what you truly believe. And I respect the fuck out of that. Because I wish more people in the Christian sect, I'm not saying they're not Christians, but I wish they could formulate that.
Mm-hmm.
And be like, this is why I'm a Christian. This is what it means to me. More
Yeah.
so than this is what my preacher told me.
I understand where you're coming from, because a lot of people, specifically around here, will just adopt a certain.
I wouldn't even say just around here. It's nationwide.
Well, yeah, but they'll
They'll
adopt
accept it, but they won't question it.
they accept a certain view and a certain interpretation of every little thing that they're basically told to believe, and
the
they
blind
don't.
leading
They don't.
the blind.
They don't question it. They don't look into it themselves, and they just kind of blindly accept it. And I mean, like, if I told you that I saw a dinosaur, you'd be like, no, you didn't. You would need evidence for that, and you would want to look into that. So, I mean, for me, it's the kind of same thing. I hit a point, a few years ago where I was like, I've just been accepting this because people have told me this, and I need to look into it and actually discern whether or not it's true, and if there's good reasons to believe it. And obviously, I came upon, good reasons to believe in Christianity, and I mean, we'll probably get into that in future episodes.
You've had your
but-
convictions.
Yeah. I mean, obviously,
You've
I
had your
stuck with
trial.
it, and I believe it's true, and that's why I'm still Christian.
You've been through and you still go through your trials and tribulations because
Yeah.
no man
And
can say
nobody's gonna not have doubts.
Yeah, you're always on that journey.
Yeah.
You know the destination, but you don't know exactly how that journey will be foretold.
Right. So, is there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to mention about
Or
yourself?
any message you want to share.
or any last notes that you want to leave with the people
I mean,
that
just-
don't know you?
my biggest thing in this world is just be honest with yourself. Like, that's me finding spirituality because I used to shy away from it and not
you
want
were
to
on
talk
my
about it.
side.
But talk about your experiences. Talk about your truths.
Yeah.
Understand why you believe that way. Don't just believe. Understand yourself. And in doing so, you might learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
You might expand someone else's horizons or even your own.
Yeah.
But just take away the constructs of organized religion with yourself and understand why you believe this way. What led you down this path? Is this the path for you? Do you truly believe this?
So be introspective about it.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong answers to any of this shit, in my eyes. Long as you're honest and you have a reason, I can respect you. I might not agree with your reason, but I can have that base of respect of, okay, this man knows what the fuck he's talking about and why he's talking about it and why he believes this.
Yeah.
And that's for anything. That's for politics. That's for religion. That's for ideologies and all, which I don't even want to fucking get into. That's if you
Have a reason for what you think, basically.
for games, movies, music, why this band's great, why this band sucks. Have a reason. Break it down to me in your own view.
Yeah.
And I think everyone should get on that wavelength of let's understand and let's learn from each other and why we all think this way and what makes us all tick, as David said.
Yeah, I especially resonate with the part where you're like, have conversations about it and be willing to speak with people who are different with you than you, because I mean that's really the point of this podcast is to we already have discussions like this.
Well,
so
also have a
people-
healthy conversation.
Exactly.
Don't just be the anti-deist and
don't have like hateful
Fundamental.
debates.
Yeah.
Don't have hateful debates with people. I mean, you can have open, honest conversations who are with people who are different than you. But like, I feel like it's too common nowadays for when people talk about religion or politics or whatever it may be that's a heated subject. People are very
Emotional.
antagonistic and emotional, and
Or
they don't know how
defensive.
to have conversation, or defensive, you know. And like that's the point of this podcast for people, is so that like we can encourage like an open and honest discussion about three very different but fairly prominent worldviews today.
Yeah. And even we started off a little defensive, little dogmatic, little aggressive. But in talking
You're
about,
speaking like before we started recording stuff,
yeah,
but like when we started talking
and we
about this.
all had our conceived notions and everything about all this shit. But through us being adults and being friends and talking about this and wanting to understand, we've led each other to a better person.
Yeah, and at the very least we have a better understanding of each
and
other.
I guess in short,
And we've built that respect for each other.
Yeah.
in short, be accepting of others and accept that your ideas, your worldview, your beliefs might not be the correct one for someone else.
Yeah.
To you, it's the correct one. It's your path. But to others, that path is separate. That path is different. And find the acceptance and beauty in that one. And maybe you might change, even if they are still in the same belief, maybe change a little bit about how they live their life.
Yeah, and
I agree and disagree with both of you on this, but
That's
we'll
the
get
beautiful
into that.
thing about
Yeah,
being
like I agree that like everyone has their own journey, but I disagree that this is true for you. But we'll get into that in another
But that's
episode because
beautiful.
that's a whole rabbit
And
trail.
the main thing
I
is
wanna
acceptance.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want to reword one thing
Okay.
because I'm thinking about this currently. You know what? When I said don't tell me I'm wrong, I mean that in an attacking way.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But
Yeah.
if you feel I'm wrong, I want you to break it down for me. Just like if
don't be a dick about it. Don't be like you're wrong.
David's
This
first
is why I'm
commandment.
right, and this is why you're wrong.
but
have it in an open, honest
to tie this
conversation
with
way.
something that's a little more surface level currently with everything going on in the world. If I tell you your view on a certain race of people is wrong, take that to heart, because I'm going to try to break it down and understand where you're coming from, and still feel like, hey, this isn't cool. This isn't. But that's more morality part in my eyes. But if you think I'm religiously wrong, have an open discussion with me.
Yeah.
If you think my political viewpoint's wrong, have an open discussion with me. Let's talk about this.
Yeah, we're in this.
Thank
We're
you.
all in this together. So let's make the best out of it.
I agree with the having a discussion thing because like people don't know how to have those. They just say you're wrong and therefore I'm right, and
Because-
And
that's
then we
the
get
end of the
stuff like the
conversation.
Crusades.
Being the agnostic theist, there's more than likely a chance I'm just fucking out in left field wrong as a motherfucker.
Yeah, and whichever guy's like, you didn't make a choice. I respect choices.
Yeah, but you know, if I'm wrong, so be it. I've had to accept that.
Yeah.
You know, just have the conversation with me.
Yeah. Well, I think we've been rambling for a long time, but
Yeah.
this has been a good episode.
It's been beautiful.
Yeah, it's been a pretty.
To be a Dr. Pepper, I'm a
Your
cream
com-
soda Dr. Pepper. I got so many flavors and layers.
like a ogre or an onion or something. You know?
I'm a beautiful onion.
All right. Well, you heard it here first, everyone. Michael, the agnostic theist, is an onion.
Yeah.
And,
So, let's get that
and a
trending on
cream
Twitter.
soda Dr.
Michael,
Pepper.
hashtag Michael the Onion.
Yeah, hashtag Michael the Onion. And if it gets big enough, I'll tag my personal Twitter in it.
All right. Well,
I'll retweet that.
yeah. So if you guys want to get in contact, you can email us. The notes, the contact is in the show notes. Our social medias are also in the show notes. So yeah, you can check us out, and yeah, it'll be great. Tell us what you think of these interview episodes. We're gonna get into actual like topical stuff now that you know who we are. So we just kind of wanted to
give that outline.
Yeah, get like a base rating on who we are and where we are. And
Yeah, we don't just want to come straight in. We want to give you a kiss and a hug first.
Yeah, sure.
Shake hands.
Yeah.
A good handshake.
You don't just
always
start
makes things
smoking
better.
crack. You start somewhere else. You got to ease into it.
Facing the Gates podcast does not promote drug use. TM. We are not getting sued because Michael advocated drug use as a
I'm
joke.
not advocating.
It was a joke.
I'm not
We're
advocating.
not the
but
Joe Rogan podcast.
I've never met someone who just goes, "Yeah, I decided to start smoking crack one day."
Yeah, I get it. You know, it's not like you start with death metal or anything. You know, you start with the butt rock and then you go into the death metal.
Not necessarily butt rock, but yeah.
Well,
But before we keep rambling on,
anyway, yeah.
it's been a good podcast.
Yeah.
Hope to see you guys next episode.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Love you.
Love you. Give us reviews. Tell us it's good because it's.
And be honest with those
definitely good.
reviews.
Yeah, you know, Michael.
Honesty is
Honesty's the best policy. If you hate it, give us a 1-star
adding to
review.
David's commandments.
Don't do it,
Commandment
though.
number 3: be honest.
Don't give us a 1-star.
How about this?
I'll be upset if you do it.
If
I'll
you
cry.
hate it, give us a 3-star and an explanation of why you hate it. Have that conversation. Tell us how we can do better.
Yeah, if you want to review it, have a conversation.
Hey,
oh,
Billy.
jeez, we're bringing it full circle.
David's
love you
third
guys.
commandment: be honest.
Is that the third? I don't actually know.
But we're gonna write these down.
The third commandment is to be honest.
All right.
Yep. Love you guys.
All right,
Love you guys.
Thanks for listening. See you guys next week.